Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. I'm Sean Big Poppa Williams.
I'm Jamie, the Liehr Jet Liehr.
And I'm Adrian Woodruff with my dial-up connection.
We have all the racing action for you for the AAA Automotive 400 for driver for Autism from Dover International Speedway. I hate this race title because it's a mouthful and it always messes me up. But there's a lot of great racing action here at Dover. Liehr, give us the track breakdown and what to look forward to.
All right, boys. Good to be back with you for another week. Coming off the Kansas Go Bowling 400 that we went to live. It was just an absolute amazing experience. We had a great time. Again, thank you to AW, Adrian Woodruff there, for getting us the hookup on that. And but AAA 400 Drive for Autism this week from Dover, Delaware. It's Dover International Speedway. The track is 1 mile in length, 400 laps to take down this race. So they call this race the Monster Mile. It's an oval shaped track, concrete surface, which is nice because it's less resistant than the asphalt. So the tires are going to have less wear. And obviously, you know, the tires will be able to last a little bit longer too. But turns are 24 degrees on the turns there, and the straightaways are 9 degrees. This track is very narrow, so there is usually only about 2 groups here, and the preferred low line is the preferred line. But there are instances where they do go 3 wide, very rare, but it doesn't last for a very long time. This track is an exciting racetrack. There's a lot of passing on the turns here, a lot of speed as well. There will be a lot of the field being lapped in this race due to the track size only being a mile. So the leaders are going to be lapping the guys at the back end. So there's going to be a lot of congestion with traffic, and that's going to play a part into people, moving forward and moving back. So, but this track opened in 1969, carries a lot of history with it, along with over the 95,000 fans that this place can seat for a race. So pretty big. For fantasy teams this week, it's going to be key to pick drivers who will lead laps and obtain the fastest laps due to the amount of laps that we have here. So 400 versus like last week at the 1.5 miles, we only had 267. The high scoring driver this week will, definitely for sure carry at least 150 points this race. And it's going to be a high-scoring week this week, fellas. So, no 300 points this week. It's going to be, 400 or 500 points to take it home. Interesting fact about Dover, in the last 10 years here at Dover, which is 20 races, so 2 years, 2 races per year, Chevy has dominated that time period, winning 12 races. And with the last 6 of those races have all been won by Chevy. So last 6 races here at Dover have all been won by a Chevy vehicle. Jimmie Johnson has won 3 of those last 6 races, with the fall race of 2013 and the spring race of 2014 going back to back there. So Jimmie Johnson, he dominates this race. Sunday, the race is going to be Sunday afternoon, May 15th at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Weather is going to be a little bit different this week, fellas. 58 degrees, partly cloudy skies, high winds. There will be a 0% chance of rain, which will be great. But the wind's going to be west at a blistering 23 miles an hour. This all according to weather.com. But it's going to be very cool, very windy Sunday afternoon. So, but as far as last week, we had a little bit of a contest for our viewers. You had to like and comment on the show. And congratulations to Micro Fiend Smith for winning this AJ Allmendinger signed card here that we got from his truck, from his hauler. So congratulations to Mr. Smith. We'll be sending you that card. We just need to get your information. So if you could message us on Twitter, inbox either myself or Poppa or Adrian with your information, and we'll get that sent out to you in the mail. We're going to do another contest this week. So if you comment and like the show, you'll be entered to win another great NASCAR autograph memorabilia from this week. But also, too, just so you know that how we pick the winner is it's all done through randomizer.com. So we just put all the people in there, and it randomly chose Miko being friend. So congratulations, and looking forward to this week, boys. Let's get it done.
All right. Oh, man. Look, fun track history and whatnot. Now it's time to get into the Burning Rubber segment, talking about the picks, the drivers we want.
Rubber, baby!
There you
Missed
go.
it out last week. Had to get it in this week.
All right, Adrian, kick it off for us. Who's your pick to burn some rubber this week, buddy?
All right, guys. It's pretty obvious if you've kind of paid attention to the trends this weekend. My pick's going to be Kevin Harvick in the number 4 for Stewart Haas Racing. He's starting in the first position, which automatically gives him guaranteed fast. When you put Kevin Harvick in clean air, he's just going to run away with it. So, I see him leading a lot of laps. I see him leading the bulk of the laps this weekend. Having the first pit box, these guys, and you've really noticed that over the past few weeks, that having that first pit box, helps you get off pit road first and back in the lead so you can lead more laps. He's the defending race winner at Dover, which is huge. It proves he knows how to get around this place as Jamie's throwing on the Kevin Harvick Busch beer hat. His 2015 Dover finishes were second and first, so he's had a good track history of late here. And Harvick is currently second in the series for top 10s and average finish for 2016, which is just the consistency that you're going to want. And, at 10-4, he's not the most expensive driver. He's the third or the fourth most expensive driver. But I think Kevin Harvick's definitely going to be the top point scorer this weekend. What do you guys think?
Yeah, dude, last race, you led 355 laps. That's huge. That's going to win you a tournament in DFS, and if you don't have him, you're not going to be in the cash. He's been a must-own here, and I'm in complete agreement with you. Liehr, your thoughts, bud?
Oh, I'm definitely all about the Kevin Harvick this week. He is my pick to go 1-1. I just didn't have the chance to take him as my burning rubber guy, but no, like we talked about, fastest laps and laps led are going to be the premium here. And you're looking at a guy that, we talked about it, but led 355 laps last year. He got his first win at Dover here last season. And guys, there's just no other vehicle right now is just dominating as much as Kevin Harvick and that Stewart Haas number 4. And I know he's 10,400, but he's going to pay off his price tag. Last week, he was you got 8 times your salary from him, and that was because he started way back in the field and finished second. But again, he's starting up front. He's been the fastest car here this weekend so far, and I look for him to just dominate on Sunday. And he's going to have to be in your lineup if you want to take home that GPP or that heads up or whatever contest you're going to be playing this week on DraftKings. But, make sure you get him in there because he's going to be necessary for you to win.
Fair enough. All right. Liehr, while we're here, who's your burning rubber pick, buddy?
My burning rubber guy this week is Dale Earnhardt Jr. In the number 88 nationwide vehicle. Earnhardt's coming off a disappointing performance at Kansas where he started off 22nd. He finished 15th, only scoring about 38 points, DraftKings points, which there were some times in the race where he was all the way up in the top 5. And if he would have stayed there, that would have been a nice finish for him. But this week at Dover, he's looked fast in the number 88. He stated that he and his team feel really good about his car. And he's raced a ton here with 32 starts, but only has 1 victory, and that's coming back in 2001 in the old number 8 Budweiser, where he started third and led 193 laps at Dover that year. This week he's starting in the second position right next to Harvick. So it's going to depend on, I don't know who's going to want the line, if he's going to want if Harvick's going to want the inside or the outside. More than likely he's probably going to want the inside, but with him starting second next to Harvick, with the amount of cautions and stuff that potentially could take place here, and if his crew can, be efficient and get him out there in front of Harvick, I have no doubts that he is at least going to lead 100 laps with the potential of getting a lot of fastest laps as well. He's got 7 top 5s here with 12 top 10s, And the crazy stat, boys, is he's completed over 99% of his total laps here at Dover, which is just I found that astonishing.
Wow.
Along with only one DNF out of those starts. So pretty good stats here for Dale. The best part about the number 88 this week is his cost. He's only $9,400, but the best part is there's 7 other drivers on DraftKings that are more expensive than him this week. So from a guy that's starting second with his cost being down at $9,400, and there's 7 other drivers that are more expensive, I think that's going to hold his ownership percentage. But as far as that goes, I don't think that Dale's going to win this week. I think it's really not likely, but he's going to lead a ton of laps and have a ton of fastest laps, which is going to be the premium this week. So I'm all about the number 88 on Sunday. So go get him, Junior.
Yeah, dude. See, here's if you're picking Junior to try to be different than the field that's going to be on Harvick, I'm totally all about it. I just don't know what his point potential is, because if Harvick is going to be out there and leading the laps like we all think he is, right? That means it's not going to be Junior, and that means that if he's not going to win the race, like you said, Liehr, where does he get his points? Just from the second to second finish? I don't understand how he leads laps if Harvick's the one that's out there leading laps in the fastest car.
Because there's 400 laps.
Well, right, but we both made the awesome stat that he ran 355 last time here, and let's be honest, if Harvick pits, odds are he's going to pit with him as the number 2 car. It'll be somebody in the middle that'll take over for a chunk. I don't know. I'm not on Junior a whole lot this week, unless I'm trying to fade against the favorites. Adrian, your thoughts, man?
Man, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is my second favorite driver, so I'm not going to give any kind of hate towards Dale Jr. I can definitely see where Jamie's coming from this week. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the fastest cars all year. He has 3 runner-up finishes already this year. And he hasn't been qualifying that well. Other than the restrictor plate tracks, his best qualifying start is 16. And I just feel like if this team actually gets a decent pick of pit box, the track position they need, and they're not spending the first half of the race trying to work their way into the top 10 and the top 5, I think he could pay big dividends for Junior. And these NASCAR races are wild, man. I just don't think that you can predict who's going to lead the laps. As fast as Junior's been, and he's right up there. Maybe Kevin Harvick's car doesn't start off great. Maybe Junior just takes the lead very quickly, or maybe Harvick has a bad pit stop and has to recover from it. I think Junior's going to be top 5 all race long this weekend. And if you're in the top 5, you have a chance to lead laps. And that's what the GPPs are all about, in my opinion, guys. So I definitely like the Dale Jr. play. Just you don't know who's going to lead the laps, and Dale Jr.'s got a good shot at it.
Look, like I said, I'm all about doing it for a swerve, and I don't know. It's a lot of money to pair him with Harvick, and the reason why is it kind of transitions into my pick, and then I'll let you guys battle it out, because I think that's where Lear's going to fire back a little bit. And my pick is Jimmie Johnson at 10-7. He's starting 21st. He has an average finish here of 9th. In 28 starts here, he has 20 top 10s. That's 71% of the time he finishes in the top 10. 15 top 5s. That's 53% of the time. And 10 wins. That means at 35.7% of the time he wins at this track. So, dude, I just don't think you can have a lineup without him on it this week, especially with him starting 21st. I think it's suicidal. And I see that little grin from Liehr, and he's going to say that too many people are going to own him. But even in these situations, guys, we haven't seen ownership percentage crawl over the usual, the 55s. I don't think he'll be more than 55% owned, but you're going to need him, right? Because not only is he going to get all those place differentials, but he's also going to lead laps and be the fastest car. And like Liehr said earlier, in the last 4 races here, he's only won 2 of them and finished top 5 in one of the others. So, I just don't get the argument to not have Jimmie Johnson on your roster. Adrian, your thoughts, bud?
Guys, Jimmie Johnson, he's the GOAT. He's the play. That 48 car is like what is it? Like he's like Flash at Dover. I mean, I don't think anyone can touch Jimmie unless something happens to Jimmie. Yeah, I think the only way he loses at Dover. I was all over Harvick because he was starting on pole, but somebody had to pick Jimmie Johnson, and I'm glad that Poppa did because I just love the play. I mean, starting in 21st, it's literally like you get to the end of the rainbow and there's a pot of gold right there with a 48 written on it. I mean, Jimmie, it's a lot of money to pair up with Kevin Harvick, but I think that's something that you're going to need to do, guys. Yeah. Just based on the place differential Jimmie has, and literally, I'm not saying this just because, but Jimmie is the best driver at Dover. Obviously, he has 10 wins, so obviously he's the fastest driver there, meaning that he's going to get I think he's going to get at least laps. Honestly, I don't even think he needs to lead that many laps. I think that he's so good at Dover on the long runs, and he can run the middle of this racetrack unlike any other driver in the series. Mm-hmm. I think that once the tires run out and everyone's trying to force their car onto the bottom or they're letting it slide to the top, and Jimmie is just eating on that middle lane, I just think he's going to just rack up the fastest laps, and you don't even need him to lead laps. And I honestly think he's going to lead laps, but I don't think you even need him to.
No. Yep. Liehr. All right, wait, here's where you get the battle, bro.
Well, I mean, okay. Jimmie Johnson, the guy is absolutely on this track. Like you talked about, 10 wins and 28 starts. I mean, that's stupid ridiculous. Right. I mean, yeah, you probably do have to have some exposure on him because, I mean, the guy's almost led 3,000 laps here at Dover. That's just retarded. Jimmie Johnson, I mean, starting from that 21st position is definitely going to be enticing to not only, majority of the players out there because let's look at it. I mean, if he does win, he's going to get all those place differential points. But if he gets out to front, he's obviously going to lead some laps and then also get some fastest laps too. And I do agree with Adrian. He will get some fastest laps, but I don't think as many as he's predicting just because he's going to have to work his way up through the field, to get up there to the front, to get those laps led and then earn, basically have those fastest laps. But I'm probably going to be staying away from the Jimmie Johnson train this week. And here's why, okay, is because majority of everybody out there, because of his history here, is going to be on him. And he's, expensive. I mean, when it comes to putting him on your lineup, the guy's 10,700. Now, I get it. You're going to have exposure to him just because of who Jimmie is, what he's done here at the track. But I want to be that type of person where, if he does great, screw it. I'm going to lose all my money. But, if he fails and, 60% of the field has Jimmie Johnson, I mean, that's just going to put me in a much better position. But, I mean, yeah, as a smart, fantasy NASCAR player, yeah, I'm going to have some exposure to him. Not much because I'm not going to be on that train this week. I'm going to, maybe have one or two. But when it comes to Jimmie Johnson, I'm going to, try to fade most of the fact for Jimmie just because, I mean, his stats here are ridiculous. He owns this track, but he's starting 21st. And I just think that I'm just going to go with a different strategy this week just to be different.
See, I'm hoping that his increased price tag and the excuse me, and the fact that he qualified low will keep people off of him. And I'm hoping there are a lot of people like Liehr that are just like, I'm going to fade him this week. And I hope that pays off dividends for those of us that don't. All right, well, that said, because we recommended two of the most expensive drivers, and Liehr found you a cheap one that we also like, but he's still pretty expensive. Let's get to the value segment. Adrian, kick us off, dude. Who you got for value this week?
Well, guys, I'm not exactly going to be saving you a lot of money. I'm picking Kyle Larson in the number 42 Target Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. Kyle's price tag is $7,900, which is the most expensive that he's been all season. But I think it's for good reason. Kyle's, career stats at Dover are probably some of his best. He's starting in the 23rd position, which, automatically gives him a big chance for place differential. He has the best average finish among active drivers at Dover, which is a small sample size of 4 races, and everyone else, has ran, somewhere around 20. But it still proves decent. He has 3 top 10s in Forker, with that one race outside the top 10 being an 11th place finish. His career Dover finishes in order are 11th, 6th, 3rd, and 9th, which is exactly what you need, starting from the 23rd position on average.
Mm-hmm.
He's completed every lap he's attempted here at Dover. And his luck has got to turn around soon, guys. He's just been so fast. At Bristol, he was running top 5. At Kansas, he was running top 5. That car's just so fast, and Kyle's such a good driver, and I finally feel like they've given him the right combination he needs to be successful. Like I said, just if you have a top 5 caliber car and you keep bringing it to the racetrack every week and you keep your head up, eventually your luck's going to turn around. And I think this week Kyle's luck is definitely going to turn around. Like I said, he's a little expensive at $7,900, but with his talent at once the tires fall off and sliding around, which is what you're going to have to do on Sunday at Dover because the sun's going to come out and it's going to make this track slick. I just think Kyle Larson, the dirt car guy, that's who you want in your lineups this week.
I definitely like the play there. Kyle Larson, like you said, I mean, the guy has just been he's been having a fast car, as of late, and had just been running into some really bad luck as far as wrecking. When it comes to Larson, yeah, he's a little expensive at $7,900, but I think that's a good thing for a lot of the players out there because that with his history of late of like last week he got -6 points. I think that's going to leave a lot of people staying off of him this week. And starting from that 23rd position, he's got a great chance to get you some place differential there, especially if he can finish in the top 5. And like you said, he's a really well dirt track, short track racer. And here, he seemed to dominate too at Bristol, which this is also a 1-mile track. But the banking is a lot different here at Dover than it is at Bristol. But I definitely like Kyle Larson, and I'm going to have some exposure to him a little bit, and I definitely like the play for sure as a value play.
Yeah, dude. I started off looking at Larson, and had you not named him for your value play, he was going to be mine, even though he's on the high side. His track history here is you're just right about it. Like he just does well at this track. And I think Liehr's analysis of like his price being increased, keeping his ownership percentage down, is going to be solid, and that's one of the reasons why I'm all over him this week. And you'll see in a little bit, I'm doing basically the same thing with another person. So my guy's even more underpriced. So with that, Liehr, who do you got for us value wise?
My value pick is a guy that you can't wait till the 2016 season is over with. But I'm hoping that he brings it this week here at Dover. But going to be picking the number 15, Clint Bowyer. Bowyer is having basically a horrible year so far with his H. Scott Motorsports number 15. Clint is ready to jump, like I said, into that Stewart-Haas vehicle next year, take place of Tony Stewart. But this week should be a bright spot for Clint Bowyer. He is a really good short track racer when it comes to these short tracks. His origination is just like Kyle Larson, the dirt tracks around Kansas here. But since 2013, Bowyer has finished higher or equal to his starting position here at Dover in his last 6 races. His average starting position here is 20th, and in 20 starts here is 17th with an average finish of 11th. And this week he's starting from the 32nd position, and its cost is crazy low, boys. Only $6,400. But I like Bowyer this week for what his cost can do for your team, so he can get you, a lot more money on there for your salary, so you can get the higher drivers. And the crazy part too is kind of looking through his stats, but his average almost double his average points every other week that he races. So here. His fantasy points in the last 4 races have been 64, 17, 66, and then last week at Kansas he scored 39. So this week is the every other odd week with his starting position, and his points having a great week, paying off his salary, at least with a minimum of 5 times his salary will be returned, with a ceiling of even higher than that. So, I definitely like Clint Bowyer this week, starting in the 32nd position. And like I said, he's a really good short track racer, and you should definitely own him this week. I think he's going to be that key player for your GPP takedown this week. So.
Dude, first of all, I love your every other week strategy.
It's
Secondly,
funny though. I know.
right, but there are some weird anomalies like that.
Yes.
The problem I have with Boyer is he's so unhappy in that equipment. He keeps exploding all over, like all on his crew and the team. Like, there's only so many times you could do that, and even though he has a good track record, I don't like playing somebody that is that in that bad of equipment. It's fundamentally against who I am as a DFS player. Like, to want to play a guy that's in that bad of equipment in that bad of a spot. But since he is qualified 31st, you can sprinkle him in for value. I just think there's better value options there. And if I want to go for a good place differential guy that's on the cheap, I just think that there are better options. Adrian, your thought?
I don't think there are better options on the cheap as far as place differential. With Clint Bowyer, someone who has so much experience here, and Dover's actually a track that, that team has been lacking speed all year, but Dover is just like Bristol and just like Martinsville, and he would have had success at Martinsville if he wouldn't have gotten a hole in the grill in lap 5. But it's one of those tracks where speed doesn't matter. It's all about the driver. Mechanically you want your car to handle well, but I feel like Dover's a track where even if your car's not handling well, the driver can make up for a lot of that. And I think, with Flint having so much experience here and so much past success, starting in the 32nd position, I just don't see a way that he doesn't finish in the top 20. He finished top 10 at Bristol, and, Jamie was talking about the every other week stat, which is, you can't read too much into that, but it proves that Clint Bowyer could score 60 points, guys. And it proves that Clint's someone that if you didn't have him on your lineup the past few weeks, you didn't make any money, as far as the top of the list. I love $400 more than Landon Castle, guys. I think that I don't think the equipment's that much better, but I think Clint Bowyer, has a little bit more experience running at the front of the pack, and, he's a little better by getting through lap traffic. Landon's used to being the lap traffic, and Clint's used to getting through the lap traffic. So I don't know. I like Clint Bowyer this week. His price is cheap, starting pretty far. It's not necessarily a track that speed matters as much. I like the Bowyer play this week, and I have a lot of them on my lineups.
Fair enough.
I will say one thing real quick. I was disappointed in you last week, Clint Bowyer, because Poppa and I tried to talk to you multiple times, and you just ignored us like we didn't exist. So I didn't think you were that much of a jerk, but
No, and way to steal my thunder, Liehr. That was what I was gonna say. Maybe it's just because I don't like him from the way he interacted with us last week.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that Boyer's not where you want to be this week. But that's just me. Like, I don't know. I can't justify it, and I'm not Rain Manning like Liehr. It's just a gut play. And
that's the thing. When it comes to fantasy NASCAR, your gut is the main thing that you have to stick with. And
really do.
Every person has their own opinion. And, if you don't like a certain driver for a certain reason, then don't play him. And if you don't like Bowyer, then don't play him. There's other options out there.
Yeah.
But just go with what your gut. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't pan out, then you only got your gut to blame. But if it does pan out, then you got all the money in the bank.
There you go.
Yeah, me and Jamie have a 15 tattooed on our gut.
That's right.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to surprise no one, and I'm going with the Bane train again for value. And, guys, he's 6,500. He's only raced here twice and doesn't have, like, an impeccable history. But at 6,500, you're getting a top 10 to top 15 car all season long. Like, right? He's got great equipment. I like Bane to be my value play for a couple of reasons, and we've talked about this with other picks. The first reason why I like it is I think most people, when they look for value this week, are going to go, to Danica and to Smoke. They're going to try to go that way, or they're going to go to Bowyer. I can jump off of that and get Bane, which will probably have around a 3% ownership percentage, especially after he started off last week's race going 3 laps down at the beginning of the race because of that flat tire. I just think that this is a play that you can make strategically without having to be dangerous or putting a Bowyer with crap equipment on your lineup. You can put a guy with good equipment, be smart, and get low ownership percentage this way. That's just the way I would like to go. I totally understand where other people's philosophies are, and it's not that one's right or one's wrong. It's just that you have to go with an approach, and that's just my personal approach. Liehr, what is your thoughts?
As far as Bane goes this week, I I definitely like Bain starting in the 25th position there, especially after that disappointing performance last week at Kansas. He only scored 6 points. But the thing that I really, really think that other people will kind of overlook is he fell 4 spots in the Cup standings last week after that poor performance. So I guarantee you that the Cat in the Hat took him and his entire team into a room this week and was like, all right, boys, we're in the contention here and we need to start, having some quality results here. So, he's been having a great season so far. Just a little bit of a misstep last week. Nothing that he can't get back on the train. So, especially too with his price point this week at 6,500, he's going to be one of those types of players that I think, like Poppa said, is going to give you that minimal difference, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Bain because he's starting in the mid-20s, but also too because of last week's performance. But I think a lot of players are going to think there's a lot of different more options out there for them, especially at those fill-in pump plays. Bain, definitely to put him on your lineup this week, he's got to at least have a top 10 to produce any results at that $6,500 price point. So, I'm not going to be fully on the Bain train, but I'm definitely going to have a little bit of exposure here and there to him, because I think he's one of those guys that has potential of getting a top 10, if not a top 5 finish, depending on what happens at Dover. And it's the Monster Mile, boys, so anything could happen.
Exactly. Adrian, your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, I just want to welcome you guys to the Revenues Race to Daily Fantasy NASCAR show presented by Trevor Bain. I'm one of royalty checks because we pick him so much. Trevor actually has a decent sample size at Dover as far as the Xfinity Series goes, guys. And, Poppa touched on his lack of success in the Cup Series, but those cars were really bad last season, and his stats, you'll notice, are like that for every track of 2015, really. At Dover, he has his best track in Xfinity based on average finish. And if you're over his past 6 races at Dover in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, he has finishes of 6th, 6th, 4th, 9th, 2nd, and 9th. Which is pretty impressive, and it shows that he knows what he's doing at this track. If you give him the race car that can compete, and that team really wants to get back on track this weekend after the poor result last weekend. They really only finished 25th, which last season would have been a good effort for that team. But this year they're looking for something more, and being in chase contention, they want to stay there. So I look for a top 15 out of Trevor this week, which would give him 10 plus place differential. I don't think a top 15 is too far out of the realm. He's just one of those guys for value. You can plug him in there once you put the guys that you want, like your Kevin Harvicks and your Jimmie Johnsons, your Dale Jr. You need guys to eat up the rest of that salary. I mean, he's just a good plug and play. Not many options, and I don't think that many drivers around that price point can score as many points as Trevor. And I just love the play. Homer or not.
Yeah, I wanted to save the real crazy stats for the Homer of the group. Any show as much as we talk about him, or at least we all need to thank DraftKings for continually to underprice this guy. But you're right, he has the best potential, the best ceiling, the best floor in my opinion for where he's at and starting where he's at, and the best price per dollar for a driver. Literally, he has all 3 stars for him, in my opinion, this week, and that's why I'm on the Bain train. So, with that said, I think that wraps up the value segment. Anything to add, boys? No? All right, well, it's time for the Going to the Garage segment, which is where we get to talk trash on drivers, like we did a little bit ago for Bowyer being mean to me and Liehr last week. Or we don't like the way they perform at this track, or they're too expensive, or they're overqualified. Any of the above can be true. With that said, Adrian, who do you got going to the garage this week, buddy?
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this pick, guys. My good friend Corey Baldwin is the rear tire changer for this guy. So he's probably not going to be too happy about me picking him as my going to the garage. But I'm picking Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 17 Sonny D Ford. He's starting in the 5th position, which simply put, he's overqualified, guys. I do think he has top 10 potential, but I don't think there's any chance of place differential there, and that's where you really gain your points on DraftKings. Just based on the way DraftKings scores players, it just makes Ricky Stenhouse a player you can't have this weekend. He's gonna, if he finishes in the top 10, he's still going to get -5 points at 10th place. And, points are so hard to come by if you're not having any kind of bonuses. That's basically, it's so dampering to your lineup. And his career Dover finishes are 12th, 13th, 17th, 41st, 19th, 37th, and 8th. These results show that he's only going to get negative place differential. And however, I do love that team, and I love the speed they've had, all year long. I do think he's going to be top 15 car, but just losing that many points off just negative differential is just going to hurt you too much. And at the $7K price tag, there's just better ways to spend your money with drivers that are starting farther back. Like Trevor is basically, Trevor's car is the exact same car that Ricky's driving. They come out of the same shop with everything. They're the exact same car except for a different number on there. And you get 20 more positions potential for place differential with Trevor at a $600 price. I just think the math is there. It just basically goes to show that Richie's not the play this week. However, I do love Stenhouse.
Yep. Liehr?
Yeah, I don't know if I can add much more to what Adrian just said, but literally, I mean, the guy's starting in the 5th position, and I have my doubts that he's going to have, and he might have a few fastest laps, but I'm assuming less than 15. And then there's really, unless, something happens where everybody pits, he does not, or whatever situation may arise out of the race, he might have a few laps led, but it's not going to be at a premium. And like he said, I definitely think that he's going to finish probably within the top 10. I mean, they have a strong vehicle there, at Roush Fenway. And, he's been doing really, really well here this season, 2016. But just an overqualification here. I definitely like Ricky Stenhouse. And also, too, thanks, Corey, last week for talking with me and Poppa while you were putting the lug nuts on the wheels. It was great to interact with you and talk to you and expand our knowledge. But I just, with his price tag, where he's starting at, I mean, there's just no positivity for points or anything this week from Ricky Stenhouse from a fantasy perspective. So I'm definitely with you right there with staying away from the number 17.
No, from a fan perspective, I wish Stenhouse the best and want to thank everybody in that team. They were awesome talking to us and letting us hang out around their pit box. Like, amazing. However, we are here to talk about daily fantasy, and to be honest, he's a little overpriced on DraftKings because, like, as you said, I can get the exact same car starting back with a better potential, cheaper. And I just, that's the real problem I have, not to mention Sunny D was never my favorite of drinks. It was always too viscous. I thought, so.
It tastes like someone challenged you to make orange juice without oranges.
Yes. That is exactly what Sunny D is. I challenge you to make orange juice with no oranges. And, yeah, I think that's going to be no bueno for Stenhouse owners this week. And unfortunately, I would have loved to have owned him, and especially as cool as that team was to us last week. But it's just DraftKings pricing and where he's qualified. It's just a recipe for disaster from a DFS perspective. But like I said, I think this is a top 15, top 10 car this week. I just don't think it's going to pay off for you. Liehr, who's your shot? Who's your guy to go to the garage this week?
My guy going to the garage this week, boys. Man, I was disappointed last week. Standing right there by the fence, by the holler, and here comes a crowd of people, and they're Kurt Busch. I'm like, oh, awesome. So I'm like looking for the card, trying to find it out of the whole stack of cards that we have, and I didn't find the card in time to get him to autograph it, and I was so pissed. But when I really think about it, I had that Coors Light pole hat on, and I should have just literally pulled that off my head and had him sign that because he has won a pole in 2016. So looking back, you can always do what you want to do, but unfortunately, the spare moment, I just wasn't thinking or firing fast enough to get that done. But going to be going with the Kurt Busch, number 41, this week is my going to the garage pick. Kurt's been doing really good, in 2016. His average fantasy points this year so far is 45.8. And right now, Busch sits fifth in the Cup standings, so he's doing really, really well as far as the standings are concerned. But he still currently does not have a win on the 2016 season yet. He's got a lot of experience here at Dover, 31 starts. His average starting position is 12th with an average finish of 18th. So, obviously that shows him that he trends back in the field. His starting position this week is 9th, but the field in front of him is just so fast, boys. And his cost is always like it has been of 2016, a little bit high, 9,100 this week. He's also got 6 DNFs here, and there's just way better options this week for that cost point. And I just don't see him really moving up within the field and leading a ton of laps and getting a ton of fastest laps. But also too, I really think there's just better options. And I think Kurt last year also raced in the number 41 when he was here in 2015. He also had a top 10 start, but had a really horrible finish. So I think he's not going to finish in the late 30s or last, but I do think he's going to finish probably in the 20s, early 20s. So based on that price point, not going to produce you any points, thus not going to be very good for your fantasy team this week. So my recommendation this week is stay away from Kurt Busch in the number 41. Hopefully last week, I know Ryan Newman was my pick last week for going to the garage. He started 8th and finished 7th, but he only scored 38 points, so it wasn't a world beater. But I hope you listen to me this week and stay away from Kurt Busch.
You're either going to want to listen to Liehr on this one or you're going to hate him for it, because that's Kurt Busch this track. He's either has a top 5 car or he's well off the radar and probably wrecked. I think it's an easy fade and a smart one. And as usual, he's a little too expensive. Although I do want to thank him. I got a great selfie with Kurt Busch. He was really nice. Great guy. Awesome. Thank you again. But DraftKings has overpriced you, and you're a little too inconsistent here for my liking, bro. Adrian, your thoughts?
I actually don't mind where DraftKings has priced Kurt Busch at 9,100. That's actually, one of the cheaper price tags he's carried all season. But it's feast or famine, like you guys said, for Kurt Busch. If his car's not driving well, he takes it out on a lot of variables that aren't necessarily the problem. And Kurt isn't always the solution whenever he has a problem. He usually makes the problem worse if anything goes wrong for that. He's just like his brother Kyle, cut from the same cloth. If things aren't going well, really, really damn bad. Just based on that, and with there's other drivers out there. I would much rather pick Dale Earnhardt Jr. for $300 more, or even go $200 less and pick for 5 positions farther back. Kurt Busch just isn't in play this week.
Yep. Well, there you go, guys. Is that our first consensus of the show? Just flat out?
I might be actually the first time we went through an entire show and not mentioned a single Joe Gibbs racing driver.
Yeah, that might be very true as well.
Well, we still have my going to the garage pick yet, too. So, with that said, I think it's a good time for us to talk about mine. Mine's fairly obvious, but it's because he's cheap that I wanted to get people off of him. And it's Brian Scott at 5,700. It's because he qualified 17th. And normally we wouldn't tell you that that's too high, but it's honestly too high for Brian Scott. Look at all the names behind Scott. Literally, we talked about this earlier, the 3 of us. And you could comfortably, if you're trying to do a Harvick fade, start rows 11 through 13 and just make that your 6 drivers. It's possible. I think that if you look at how many cars are behind him that will pass him, there's a minimum of 10. Minimum, right? Plus, if you look at his track history here, he's always scoring almost always scoring negative points. He only has 1 race here. But, and he lost the 11 places, making him almost impossible to own. It's just, guys, even though he's cheap, it's going to be negative points. It screams it. Just avoid it. I know it's not, the most complex of avoidance of the going to the garage, but your guys' thoughts? There?
Yeah, this is another one of those classic. It's like my classic Casey Mears cop-out. Taking Brian Scott, poor guy. He has a good qualifying effort, and then Poppa just completely tarnishes his name. But that number 44 car was actually pretty fast last weekend. I was with the speed that they had. But starting in 17th, there's just no potential for positive place differential. And when you're picking guys at this price, you kind of want to have the potential for some place differential. I'm just going to go ahead and say it because pick Chris Buescher at that price tag. There you go. I just saved you a lot of money, and hopefully I won you a lot of money. I think Chris Buescher's play at that price.
I mean, Liehr, your thoughts?
I'm right there with you, boys. For that price point, I would be on the Buescher train just like you. But Brian Scott, I mean, congratulations, sir, on a great qualifying round. I know that's huge for Richard Petty Motorsports. But as far as options, I can't pick somebody that doesn't have the historical data because I mean it's without a doubt way over qualification, and I just don't see any. He's not going to even probably pay off 3 times his salary, let alone what you need to take down a tournament or win a heads up. So if there's any question or any doubt whatsoever, I'm off it. And unfortunately, number 44, Brian Scott, Rich Petty Motorsports. Sorry, can't play you this week. But good luck to you.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, good luck, great qualification, just not going to get it done. And that pretty much wraps up the Going to the Garage segment. We ended with 2 consensus agreements on going to the garage. That's rare for us. Actually, I think we went 3 for 3 there. So with that said, it's time to get into the unique part of the show where we are the only show out there that gives you a lineup in an actual DraftKings contest. Remember, we encourage you not to copy this lineup exactly, as usually it's some sort of amalgamation of our picks that'll win the tournament. So with that said, guys, let's get into our picks this week. And Adrian, actually, let's let Liehr start it off this week. Adrian, you started everything off. Liehr, who do we want on the lineup first?
Well, I'm just going to steal Adrian's thunder. And, I mean, it's impossible, boys, to not have Kevin Harvick on your team this week. I mean, the guy's going to pay off his salary. And, I mean, you're going to have him. So, Harvick, without a doubt, 100%.
All right, we've got Harvick on the lineup. Adrian, where are we going next, bud?
Well, Jamie literally took the words out of my mouth. Let's see here.
I may have
quickly went out Larson.
We can go down and grab Kyle Larson on the team. Is that where you want to go now?
That's where I want to go.
All right, that puts us at 79.25 remaining per our drivers. Since we haven't talked about them, we'll do it here. The JGR cars were really fast in practice. Matter of fact, Kyle, Hamlin, and Edwards all were smoking fast in practice and were the fastest 3 cars. And Truex was also in the top 7, I believe. I would just part of me says that we need party team JGR, but I won't do it. I just wanted to talk about it real quick since we hadn't. I felt like I was missing a piece of my soul not talking about Team JGR. But yeah, man. You know what? Let's go ahead and I'm gonna make the next. Let's see. Can I do it? I'm gonna make the next 2 picks, and then I'm gonna force you guys to do value. Yeah. So I put Earnhardt and Jimmie on there. Let's just take all of our picks.
All right. And what does that leave us?
That leaves us, unfortunately, with 5,800 remaining.
Okay.
Can we do it with 2 drivers left? Chris Buescher frees up 400. That gives us 62 for 1 remaining driver, and there's a couple that'll work. I see. Liehr, your thoughts?
If that's my price point that I have to work with at $6,200, I'm either going to full-blown use the whole salary and roll with Danica Patrick as she crashed in qualifying, which gave her a horrible starting position at 31st. Or with that price point left, I know who you would roll with, Poppa, which would be your boy, Matt DiBenedetto. But I would probably go with, again, a guy that we talk about a fair amount of it here, but Landon Castle in the number 38. He's got a nice starting position again, starting in the 35th position in the MDS transport. So Ford. So I would probably, if I had to choose any of those, I would probably roll with Landon Castle just because he has a little bit potential for place differential. But for me, it'd be a 50-50 between Danica Patrick and Landon Castle. I'll let you guys decide.
You know what?
While we're on the subject, I just wanted to kind of mention that last week Casey Mears had +10 place differential and finished in the 21st position, scoring 33 points, and was on the lineup that took down the Slingshot UPP. So me and Jamie kind of looking in the right place there. He's starting 26th this week, so I don't know if Casey Mears is exactly where you want to go. I do like the Danica Patrick play, but I think that Landon Castle would be my second option right here.
So you would say Danica 1, Castle 2, let me guess, DiBenedetto
just based on the car, though.
3.
Just based on the car, I like Landon's starting spot, and I don't think that many people are going to – I think once you put these drivers in, I think a lot of people will go Danica and not Landon. So I think I like Landon more, actually, just because of the ownership.
Well, and as we've talked before, for those of you that's watched, that leaves $200 in salary, and we know for every $100 you leave, like, it increases the likelihood of you having a unique lineup all your own. Like, right, that other people do not have this lineup. So we'll leave.
I do want to mention Regan Smith would probably be my third option at this price tag. As far as low drivers go, I like Chris Buescher the most, then Regan Smith, and then Landon Castle.
Okay.
As far as drivers around, just a little extra.
All right, guys. That team you will be able to watch in the $5 lug nut, which this week is what, $25K?
Yes, it is.
Nice. So you'll be able to see that lineup in there. We encourage you to compete against us there on DraftKings. Hopefully I'm taking down the money, and if it's not me, it's one of these two guys, but if not, hopefully it's you, or you at least learned something here that you found helpful in getting you some money on DraftKings. With that said, I think it's time to wrap up the show. Let the boys say their goodbyes. We'll start with Adrian.
Yeah, guys, thanks for watching again. I love all the interactions that we've had on the comments section of these videos. Keep them coming, and also remember to, hit us up on Twitter. Feel free to ask us any kind of questions you have about lineup building or how we feel about certain drivers. We're, pretty much 24/7. You just send us a message. We'll get back to you. I do want to say I hope everybody sits back, enjoys the race, and enjoys Kevin Harvick putting that number 4 car in the win and winning you guys a lot of money.
All right, Liehr, you say your goodbyes, bud.
I'm definitely right there with AW. I don't see it going any other way. But thanks again, guys, for watching the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all the comments, likes. Hopefully you're sharing it too on your own personal Facebook and Twitter and all that. But, we bring this show for you guys because of the love of the sport, also for the love of fantasy. And also check out fantasydocs.com for all the info. And then also, too, just really quick, wanted to say last week was really fun being at the race. Poppa and I, we actually broke a little bit of the rules. We walked out with the media onto pit row. Poppa was almost like he was part of the media because of the camera that he had on his chest. And but it was pretty crazy because we got a text message from Adrian saying, "Hey guys, just watched the Matt Kenseth interview, and you guys were literally right there in the background behind the car." And the crazy part was probably my fault because I had my camera out with my phone taking pictures, which media doesn't take pictures with their camera phone. So, but got a pretty sweet picture of Kyle Busch as he's going to victory lane after Carl Edwards slaps him on the hand and says, "Great job." So it was just an unbelievable experience. And then we hurried up and got on the other side of the wall. So, but good luck this week, boys. And hope we can take down a GPP and hopefully win you guys.
So for those NASCAR officials that were paying attention, I know how to act properly even after the race in the pits. So you can feel free to give me at least press credentials to go to all the races. I will act appropriately and have real cameras, not camera phones. out to take pictures. No, I had a blast. Part of the reason why I'm wearing Carl Edwards hat, autograph it. Carl Edwards is an amazing guy. Just wanted to thank everybody that made last week happen for us. It was an awesome experience. We're going to try to integrate some more graphics and stuff into the show. With all that said, we've got a lot of good things coming for the Daily Fantasy NASCAR show, and hopefully we'll be making money on top of that, all of us. So have a good one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and favorite, as Liehr said. Peace out, guys.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks, guys.